Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can anybody guess the name of that song? I know some people know already, but people who don't have my album, but anybody know that name of the song?
Randy.
Yeah. Good. This young man here wins free air because he got the name right. Little warm up.
Is that? I'm coming from the other fork. I live on the North Fork, yeah. Yes, indeed. So I take the ferry boat.
Known as the other fork.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, to drive around is like an hour and 15, 20 minutes each way. So, take the ferry. It costs a couple ducats, but it's okay. It's a nice, you know.
Oh my God. I think there's a wrong camera here. Let me check this out. Just settings. Okay. I'm just doing a test right now. Enable live chat. Yep. Enable slow mode. 60 seconds between messages. Okay. Cancel. I know no one's on right now, but I'm just looking. Oh, I know. Chris, how you doing, man? I'm just doing a sound check. I just got to check the settings here. Hold on. I guess I can't. My setting a little different than I thought. Is it this camera? Yes, it is. It's not panned the way I want it, but in the way I set it up, but it's okay. Thanks, Chris. I'm just doing a check right now. I'm not actually starting yet, but just doing a sound check. For most of you who are going to be watching today, please send. Oh, see, Chris is doing good already. He's already sending a chat. Chris is one of my bass students. Great guy. Great bass player. So I'm just doing a test. Okay. Took me so long to set up today, everybody. I'm not. So I have this background behind me, but it's not quite the right size. I actually what's the word? I actually set it up a different way, and now on YouTube you can't really like do a sound check unless you go on live. Let me check some settings here. Pop out chat toggle. I'm just doing some settings. I'm not gonna really start till 2. But if you're watching, send me your questions already. But I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff for my patrons too on my Patreon, which is let me just make a few notes here for you guys. I see 4 people up here already. So please send questions via chat. I'm doing stuff about hybrid picking today. Okay. Oh, I see the mic is picking me up over here. I'll do it that way. I'm going to do this, move this back a little bit. And Chris had some questions about Coltrane changes. Let me see. Please send questions. Okay. Also, let me know who's participating. Hey. Hello, winner here. That's funny. Hey, Nathaniel. Where are you from, Nathaniel? Send me a message. Where do you live? I want to know where people are from here exactly. If I move back, you get a better sound because my mic is unidirectional. I don't want to pick up the computer. It's like making a lot of noise. So that's better. Also, this is for my patrons at this address, patreon.com. I'm going to write this down. Yes, and Chris, what's Chris say here? Yeah, I'd love to learn about playing over train changes and maybe playing over our waltz for Debbie. Okay. You're from Tanzania, but I'm currently living and studying in Newfoundland, Canada. Really? Wow, Newfoundland. I've been to Newfoundland. I passed through there on a boat, on a jazz cruise, maybe about 15 years ago. It was nice. We stopped off there. Or just anyone else playing over 3/4. Okay, we can go over that too. Right now I'm just setting up. Chip, hey Chip, Chip off the old block. Chip is here. Chip, we're going to talk about 7-string. We have Chip Roop also, and I want to discuss 7-string guitar a little bit for you guys today. So just so you know, after the workshop, which I'm going to start promptly at 2. Thanks for being early, everybody. Chip has some questions about the 7-string guitar, so I'm going to be going over that a little bit too. Hold on, let me put the heat up a little bit. It's kind of cold in New York. Chip, where are you from? I forgot to ask you that. Just send me a message. And I know Chris is from Colorado. We got people from all over the world here. The people are going to be showing up eventually. Music is alive in Newfoundland? Really? Interesting. Good. So I'm going to, I'll play a couple of songs before we start probably. Oh, Chip, you're in Fort Worth. Cool. I'm just warming up because, you know what happened today? I was just trying to set up. This stuff takes so long to set up, and it's still not set up correctly. These are some of my warm-up exercises, guys. I'll do a diminished chord across the neck. Now, this is my 6-string guitar. I have this on my TikTok and my Instagram where I do a warm-up, okay? And what's happening is I'll do this warm-up. I'll do a tremolo. I'm kind of stiff right now. I'll do these things like this. A tremolo. Etc. Let me turn this mic this way a little bit more because it's unidirectional. I'll put my tuner on. I'll do a warm-up like this. Actually, my arm's been hurting me because I've been doing a lot of posting on my social media, like a lot of video editing. So it's really affecting my shoulder. And I need to be practicing. I'm doing this stuff too much. A lot of social media and videos and I do a little exercises like this. You can do little exercises like little tremolos. I used to practice these things all the time. Classical exercises, little hammer-ons, and little chromatic scales. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. These are warm-ups. Oh, dude with the guitar pump. Thanks for having me. Joe Amico. Joe, where are you from, Joe? Oh, if you guys want to talk about social media stuff too, let me know. I'll talk about anything today. We're going to talk about hybrid picking. I want to talk to. I want to spread this around a little bit. I want people to know about the 7-string guitar because Chip just joined my Patreon and he wants to know more about 7-string guitar. So I have a few videos up. It's hard to actually put a lot of posts about 7-string and 6-string because there's so much work to be involved with posting all this stuff. Oh, do with guitar. I'm from Indianapolis, but I pro soccer player currently in Oklahoma City. Wow, really? That's cool. Hey, and Amir, my new student, is here too from Stamford, Connecticut. Welcome. And anybody who's watching, please, send me some questions. Someone asked me already, wanted to get into posting on social media, but I'm scared that they'll take my practice time away from me. You're right. So I haven't been practicing. So this guitar, so you guys know, is my Eastman. It's the T49-V Amber guitar, and it's fairly easy for me to play because I usually use heavy strings. So these are actually 12 on top. Because if I put heavier strings on this, it will be too much for the guitar. So I'm just doing a little warm. So I'm going to start the workshop now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 7-string guitar out and play that a little bit. I'll play a song for you. And then we'll get to taking questions. Let me turn my amp off for a second. Let me plug this in. So here's my 7-string guitar. And if you have any questions, please send them to me. I want to talk about hybrid picking today. That was the main subject of my Patreon account. But then also, I'll take any kind of questions. Like my student Chris asked about. He asked about Coltrane changes. So let me do this guitar here. So this is my 7-string. Now, just for, I'll talk about it in a minute after I play a song, but Chip is here to learn about 7-string guitar, and I'm glad because I want people to play 7-string guitar a little bit. I'm just tuning it up real quick. I hear it's pretty pumped. I hear it going through the mic right now. Here we go. Let me do a little song for you guys. It's kind of loud. Turn that mic here a little bit. Okay. Wow. So let me see who's here now. So we're going to talk about first hybrid picking. That was a song called "Time After Time." Just a little doing a little warm up on my 7-string guitar here, and so just so you know, I was doing I was actually performing the using hybrid picking. Okay, actually, when I'm most of the time I'm actually using hybrid picking in my playing. When I'm doing, especially fingerstyle guitar playing, like I'm doing right now. I mean, well, solo guitar playing, I call it. So, what's happening is I'm actually, if I'm playing a melody, let's say I'm playing the songs time after time. If I'm going, I'm actually using my fingers to play those notes. I actually could use my pick, but I have to strum through to play the melody actually. So what I'm doing is I'm actually separating my fingers. Okay, so that was called Time After Time because Chris was asking about that. So I usually use my pick and fingers, hybrid picking, on a lot of stuff, particularly by myself, okay? But you should know how to play just with the pick, okay? And I like to use a teardrop pick, just so you guys know. Here's what it looks like. And a lot of guitar players, some guitar players use really small Jim Dunlop picks, but I play with the George Benson picking technique, where I kind of require a pick that's this size, a teardrop pick. This is a medium pick, and this is a heavy pick that I use actually on my 7-string guitar because I have 14s on these on the top. Okay, now for the 7-string players here, I tune to a low A, so it's actually doubling my A string. Okay, so it's an octave below that. So it's a really cool effect. I learned that from studying with Bucky Picciarelli, the late Bucky Picciarelli, who actually just passed in this past April last year, from right at the beginning of the COVID crisis, from COVID-19, unfortunately. So, he told me to tune like this, and then rock, they tune it with a low B, and in jazz, and in Brazilian, they tune with a low C. So in rock, it would just the A string would be this, and in Brazilian, the A string would be open, would be like the C note right here. So this is a low note. So I love the low note aspect of this. Okay, it's a really cool sound. Just so you know, my mic is picking up the amp and my fingers and all kinds of stuff. It's a really sensitive mic, but this is high fidelity kind of. Okay, so when I'm picking with hybrid picking, you got to be conscious about independence with your fingers. Okay, so when I'm doing a melody like this, I'm going. I'm only using my third. My middle and ring finger of my picking hand. Now, I write for a magazine called Acoustic Guitar Magazine, and when we talk about people playing. What's the word? fretting hand or picking hand, because we don't want to box you into being left-handed or right-handed. Okay, so on my picking hand, I use my pick like this. Now, I usually hold my pick like this, just so you know. Some people hold their pick like this. I rule against playing like holding a pick like this, because what happens is you tend to hold the pick a lot tighter, and it gives you a tighter sound. I learned from this great guitar player that I studied with out in New York here called Rodney Jones. And George Mention holds the pick like this too. You hold your pick just like this with your finger on top of your finger, and you hold it really loose, almost like it's falling off. Okay. And what I do is I just pick completely perpendicular to the string, like this. Okay. Let's see if I can show you on the camera. So it's like this basically, and but I turn it this way. When I'm playing, so my pick is actually going at this angle, because that's how I learned how to play. It's the George Benson picking technique. Now, only way you can play like this with a pick is with your pick turned this way is actually using flat wound strings. So my strings are like, you don't hear any scratching here, do you? It's very little. If I hit my 7th string, that's wound. You hear the difference? So that string is wound, so I can't really play my pick sideways. I can only hit it straight there. But on other strings, I can hit it sideways, okay? Now, if there's any questions, let me know. I don't see many questions coming up here yet. Let me see. Oh, maybe it's up here. Okay, no, I'm just looking right here. Please send questions if you have any. Oh, do with the guitar. How do you hold the pick? Oh, I usually use fingers. Oh, okay, I just explained that, didn't I? So, yeah, I just hold the pick like I told you a minute ago. So, just like this. And I use like different gauge picks too. This is a medium, this green one. And I usually use that on lighter strings, because, when you start playing a heavy pick on a lighter string, to me it's too heavy. Okay, so I use a lighter pick. This is a medium pick. It's not too light. The ones that are too light are too flimsy. But if you play with fingers, that's cool too. I mean, I went, years ago I went to see the master Joe Pass perform, and he plays great with his fingers and with his pick, so he does stuff like that too. And I think it's important to learn how to play with your fingers too. I studied classical guitar on and off for years, and I need to practice more, obviously, about classical guitar. But I love that music, and I love the discipline you need, and you really need to use your fingers, doing all the tremolos and stuff. But I never use my nails, so that's a whole different world. In classical, they actually use nails, and I have like my old teacher, who's actually a friend of mine, who's a really great classical flamenco guy. He has to use super glue on his nails and keep them up, really, So, but what today, so we're discussing using. You can talk about fingerstyle too. So I think every guitar player should know how to play with their fingers and hybrid picking, like I was showing you earlier. Mixing them up. And then with your pick, only with your pick too, just mixing them up depending on styles you're playing. So like when I like to play like Chet Atkins kind of stuff. It's one of my songs. It's kind of weird to play in 7G. So when I'm doing that kind of stuff, I'm using my fingers, but also I can do it with my pick too. It's different though. So then I can use my pick doing that too. It's just harder. See, there's a lot of advantages to using your fingers. You could do a lot more independent lines and things like that. You're limited with the pick. You can only really strum. You can only hit one note at a time unless you strum the notes through. Okay, with the pick. Okay, or you can just like play single lines or double notes, etc. Okay, anything like that. If I'm going to play 2 notes at a time and they're cross strings, I have to mute the ones in between. So if I'm playing like two notes, I'm playing the first string and the third string. But the problem is, let me turn this mic down a little bit. Turn my guitar down. I have to mute the string if I'm going to hit the first and third string. But if I'm playing with my fingers, that's a whole different story. I just play with my fingers. So that's the advantage about playing with your fingers. You can separate the notes more. You don't have to play. If I'm going to play like a chord like this, 3 different notes across skipping strings. If I'm going to do it with a pick, that's going to be hard. I have to mute the strings. I can actually almost do it. I have to use a different fingering, but with my fingers, I can just play them. Okay, and separate them just with my fingers. Okay, etc. Okay, so let's keep going here. Any questions so far? Please send them to me. Oh, wait. My other student, the great Reggie Hagee out of Long Island, New York. He's asking if I've ever tried wooden picks. Yes, I've tried all kinds of picks. Growing up, I had like different. I've tried wooden picks, felt picks. There was this pick called the stylus pick at one time. It was like the stylus of a record player, and it was like kind of round and pointy, and you put it on your string. It was like some kind of gimmick. So it was really weird to play. But then I settled on this pick eventually, a simple teardrop pick like this. But yeah, I've never tried wooden pick. I've tried wooden picks, but I never was into them. Well, I always go to the NAMM show, which is like a big music convention every year. Around this time, actually, I'm going to be doing some stuff for like a few of the endorsers I have, like a Reunion Blues and Cremona and some of these companies, and Hendrickson amps, which I use over here. And what I'm going to do is, when I go to these NAMM shows, they always give me picks. Well, you can find all these kinds of picks, but I just collect them. Usually, they give you away free picks at a lot of these places, and I just give them to my students. Especially my young students that I teach that are really young. I give them free picks all the time. They always lose them, like I do. So, okay. So that's So let's continue with hybrid picking. So, hybrid picking is a good what's the word? It's like a good medium between playing with your fingers and playing with the pick. So you could kind of combine it. So when I'm doing bossa novas and stuff like this, usually a bossa nova, like a bossa nova rhythm like from Brazil. Now it sounds, that's how you're really supposed to play with your fingers on a nylon string guitar or a nylon acoustic. Now here's what it sounds like if I do with the pick though. It's kind of harder when I'm doing hybrid picking. I have to kind of combine the notes. So what I usually do is I'll just put my pick down and just play with my fingers for that kind of stuff. So, but certain songs there's a lot of more songs I could actually do with pick and and my fingers, hybrid picking. So like when I'm walking bass lines like this. See, I'm doing the bass with the pick, and I'm doing the comping on top. So I'm doing like the comping rhythm. So I'm putting the pick on the bottom with the bass low. See, I'm combining them with my fingers. So this is just a blues in F. So I like that independence, but you got to make sure that the pick is not too loud when you're actually doing the hybrid picking. Now I can actually play the same thing with all picking too, I think. It sounds different. All picking now. So you hear the difference too? It's a little bit more trebly when you only use your pick, okay? Now if I use my fingers, it has a warmer sound. And you know, the pick has a lot more attack too. You hear the difference? So you can really attack the strings with the pick a lot more. Okay, like that. So I mean, so the pick, you know, there's a really great advantages to hybrid picking, and I suggest doing what I'm doing. So learn how to count. You know how to what's the word? You know, learn how to hold chords like this, and then you know hit the chord with your fingers. Part of the chord, at least, whatever you can hit with your fingers that are available. I only use these two fingers too when I'm hybrid picking, just so you know. I rarely use my fourth finger to do anything with because that's the one that's the weakest finger on my picking hand. Now, I mean, I've developed my fourth finger a lot on my fretting hand, you know, so I try to use that a lot. You know, try to get that finger to really. I've been working on that finger for years, but on this hand, it's like the weakest finger of all my hands, you know. And I'm just, you know, I'm an okay finger picker, you know. I used to be better when I was studying classical, but I think in jazz, especially when you're doing solo guitar stuff. Let me see if there's any questions here. Nobody yet? Okay. If there's any questions, please send them to me. And also, I'd like to thank. Oh, let me see. Dude with the guitar. Hey, dude. Wait a second. Dude with the guitar. Oh, Joe. It's Joe. Oh, dude with the guitar. Where are you from? I'm just wondering. Where are you from? Actually, where do you live? Just send me a message too right now. My finger. Okay, he says my finger ends up hitting my pointer finger with hybrid picking. Oh, so this finger? You're saying this finger? No, the middle finger hits your pointer finger when you're picking. I need to keep working on that. Yeah, I mean, you know how I'm picking too. Look at this, Joe. Just so you know. Oh, Indianapolis. Oh, the home of West Montgomery. You know, West Montgomery. They call me Les Montgomery, everybody. Just so you know. I used to be roommates with Buddy Montgomery. That's just you know, like some trivia. We used to be roommates when I first got to New York, and I needed a roommate. I was so broke, so I had a roommate, and he was like roommate for a while. He's a great guy, Buddy Montgomery, West Montgomery's brother. So, dude with the guitar, I think his name is Joe. Lives in Indianapolis, man. Cool, man. So what happens is when I'm picking hybrid picking, when I hit the string, make sure you clear the notes like this. Don't hit this way. Do you understand? Don't hit toward your ring finger. I mean your pointer finger, or your first finger. Hit this way. Okay, you have to get used to it. So I'm actually hitting out like this and missing this finger. Okay, so be careful not to hit that. You hear that? You see that difference right there? So I'm actually missing that right now. Oh yeah, so yeah, she said that yeah, she's saying that Wes grew up 5 minutes away from him. That's great, man. Wes Montgomery was good. Yeah. So that's what you do with your hybrid picking. Just be careful not to hit the strings, okay? Now, before we talk about, I want Chris had the questions about my student Chris out in Boulder, I think, Colorado. He's on Mountain Time. Wow, thanks for waking up, Chris. It's pretty early over there. It's like 12:30 over there, no? 12, almost 12:30. So for my student, for my patron, Chip. So Chip, just so you know about the 7-string guitar, the most important thing is to get used to playing the 7th string, okay, and getting used to tuning to a low A, the jazz way of playing the 7th string, okay? So just think about it as doubling the A string, okay? So, I mean, it's not that easy if you think about it. So I would try chords like, let's say you're playing a C chord. Okay, this is for 7-string players. And I have a few 7-string students, actually. So if I'm playing a C chord, especially open, I try to get used to playing that with since it doubles the A string, I try to play that 7th string instead. Look how big that sounds. Okay, so it's a big sound. Also, I mean, you should start trying to get used to playing chords with the 7th string. So like I could play the C like that. I could play like a C bar chord, but I could just double it on the 7th string. Okay. Now if I'm playing, let's say I'm playing like an F chord, like an F bar. So what I try to do to get to use the 7th string is just put it on the bottom. I'll do like a bass, like 1, 5. It mimics the 5th string. Okay. It looks like I'm looking down at everybody, but I'm actually, my webcam's up there. Sorry. So I'm doing it that way. Okay. So I'm doing like, and also, you know, it's good for so whatever chord that uses a like a 5th string root when you're playing a 7th string, just double it. I mean, it's just double it with the 7th string. So here's like a D minor bar chord. Just double the 7th string. D minor, D major 7, double it. D minor 7 flat 5, double it. And that's how you get your cool bass lines. If I'm doing a bass line. This is an exercise I have on my YouTube. So everybody, I just want to let you know, if you want to learn about all this stuff that I'm talking about, I have a lot of information on all my accounts. I have them on my TikTok, Instagram. My TikTok has a lot of educational videos, but my YouTube has a lot of educational videos, and they have all my workshops from Patreon right there. These are Patreon only workshops, but I eventually released them. So I've been releasing them, the ones I did all year, and you can watch all the workshops about all these different techniques. You know, like we'll talk about Coltrane changes in a minute next for my student Chris. Hey, you got to practice though. Oh, Chris, I like Chris. Chris said you got to practice. Of course, I got to practice. So thanks, Chris. Yes, I tell Chris to practice a lot, and I'll tell you, everybody, just so you know, watching these workshops with me on YouTube and watching YouTube videos and all that can only get you so far. You really need to play with people who are better than yourself, okay, or both actually, and have a good guitar teacher, whatever instrument you play, but just because you can't really tell how you play by yourself. There's no way of judging you. It's hard to judge yourself. And I judge myself now mainly because I listen to myself all the time. I watch myself play. Another thing is to videotape and record yourself, because it's really hard, especially videotaping, because you have to play and you have to look good and play accurately, but also you have to play accurately. So recording is one of the most important things you could do. Also practice with a metronome. Get your timing together. I still need to work on that too. You hear everything when you record, so it's really important to do that. But a teacher really helps you, get started. I mean, unfortunately, I've studied with a lot of people, but not long enough. I've taken lessons here and there, but I need to take. The person I studied probably the most with since I was in New York was with Lucky Petrelli. But I've studied with Pat Martino, Ted Dunbar. He taught a lot of great guys like Peter Bernstein and Kevin Eubanks and Bobby Broom. A lot of great guitar players he's taught. And he passed away quite a long time ago when I first went to New York. And it's very important to have a teacher help you to guide you in the beginning, at least, until you get your stuff together. But recording is very important, everybody. So let me see. Let's talk about. Let me move to my 6-string guitar, okay, everybody. I'm gonna unplug this. Get to my 6-string. I'm gonna talk about Coltrane changes next. So if you have any questions about the 7-string or anything else, picking technique, anything, playing changes, bebop, let me know, okay. Let me see. Oh, I got to turn the amp up. Sorry. So let's talk about Coltrane changes. So John Coltrane, created a revolution, a harmonic revolution, with giant steps. Okay. Now, giant steps came out. I'm looking at this book right now. Okay, let me answer this question first. In jazz improvisation, how do you go about playing what you hear in your head into your instrument? Well, like I mentioned before, like my Chris said, you have to practice. But here's what happens, okay? The way you learn how to play jazz, I mean, when I was studying in college, I was 18. I thought I knew how to play jazz. I really didn't know anything. So what happened was they always kept telling me, you've got to actually, you've got to listen to jazz all the time. You've got to learn the tunes. You've got to learn the scales. You've got to transcribe solos, okay? And you've got to practice all this stuff. It's so important to learn tunes, chord progressions. You have to train your ears. But one of the most important things is actually learning other people's solos, okay? So because that's the language. You're actually learning a language. Jazz is actually a language. And the language is actually playing over changes. So what I mean by playing over changes is this. So I'm playing a C major 7 or a B flat. Let's change keys. You should know the scale for this. Now on the guitar, you should be able to play that all over the neck, every finger. I'm just playing this B flat major scale. So that's one thing. But what happens is once you that's really basic learning scales. So everybody says learn your modes. You should know your modes, of course, because the modes are part of the language. And so remember, jazz is is based from European music, which is the major scale. So I call the major scale the mother of all scales. So you should be able to change your major scales into any scale you want. So let's say I'm playing a B flat, and then someone says play B flat 7 chord. So, and I'll play B flat 7 chord, but you should be able to play the scale now. So a B flat 7 scale or B flat dominant scale is just the B flat major with a lowered 7th. Okay, and now you should know the name of that scale, of course, and you should know what note to lower in the major scale, for example. And there's a lot of stuff. I'm really breaking this down really, really, concisely. It's a lot more than that. But eventually, here's what happens. So let's say I'm playing a B flat scale. There are these other scales that you learn eventually once you know your scales really well, your basic scales, like the bebop scale. Now, the bebop scale is just like it's just one of these scales that was created by Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, the bebop guys. And Barry Harris was one of the guys who was into it too that I studied with. And you put passing tones between the whole steps. Now, sometimes people say, well, if you put a passing tone between the whole steps, you can make a chromatic scale. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Like the major scale has whole. If I'm playing a B flat, it's whole, half, whole, half. So you can't just. You have to be able to play those passing tones between the whole steps within that scale. Now, when you get to the half step in between, then you use these different techniques like putting in what you call approach note. See what I did? So basically, I learned all these licks from transcribing solos. So I would learn trumpet solos, guitar solos. I transcribed George Benson, Wes Montgomery, Django Reinhardt. Oh man, Pat Martino. I used to do piano solos. I can't remember. I used to do trumpet solos, Charlie Parker licks. You have to learn licks, okay, too, if you want to get into jazz. And what happens is when you're doing this over and over, and you practice all the time, and you're playing with people, you have to go through trial and error. I call it. So if I'm playing and I'm playing like, let's say I'm playing this like song, just a 1-6-2-5 or anything, whatever. I try to find out I try to practice my licks, like I'll do arpeggios, etc. Then I start. Eventually, you have to be able to time this stuff right and hear the timing. And then what happens is after years and years of practicing, or hours, because you can learn this stuff really quick, everybody, if you practice like 8 hours a day, okay, like for 2 years or a year or 10 hours. Because I met people. I was one of those kind of guys too. When I got to college, I couldn't play like there were some guys that came in from like Japan, burning, playing giant steps in every key, whatever, and I'd be like, oh God. So what happened was I practiced a lot. I would take the theory and harmony, everything the teacher told me to do, I would just do it on the guitar. So I would take my theory class, put it on my guitar, I would practice that stuff on there, and I would listen to music, a ton of music. I would try to transcribe solos. And what happens is you develop a language after a while. So now I'm just playing. I don't even think about what I'm playing. I'm just playing like it's just a language. I'm just playing kind of on B flat there. But it sounds like I'm actually playing through changes in my own head right now. So if I'm actually playing over a song like a backing track, I'll be playing these kind of licks all through that. Let me see. Is there any other questions so far? Oh, okay. Not so far. I'm just trying to see. So please send me some more questions. Now let's get into. So that's how you get into that. So just like learning giant steps. Now giant steps is like this Coltrane song that was created back in 1959. I forgot. I'm just looking through this book right now. I've used this book. I'm actually going to practice after this. I'm going to practice after this because this book has some great stuff. This is backwards, but this is the Jazz Theory book, and there's what I was going to say. It's a great book, and there's a lot of stuff in there I got to practice. Okay, so Coltrane changes started back in 1959. Now, here's what Coltrane did. He actually took the major scale and broke it up into an augmented chord. So if you go look at giant steps, it goes. So it starts in the key of B, goes to G, then goes to E flat. So those are three different keys. So B, then he goes to G, then goes to E flat. So that's taking the chord and making it an augmented chord. So it's actually, it could be a G augmented, or E flat augmented, or B augmented. Okay, they're all the same chord actually. Now, with basics on the guitar, you should know all your minor. You should know your major triads, your minor, your augmented, and your diminished. Actually, I have to post that on my Patreon. Those 4 exercises. You should know these chords as basic triads. Okay, so those are all the 4 basic triads. So he went from the key of B to E flat to G. And you hear a lot of his songs written like that, Coltrane, like Central Park West, I think is one of the songs. Satellite. He did a lot of cool tunes. So basically, this song just goes to 3 keys. So they call it 3 tonal systems. Okay. So giant steps is like a good exercise. If like a lot of college students love this. A lot of jazz heads and stuff. So you have to figure out licks that you can play through these changes so the chords are B. You can, if you have your real book or any kind of like, what's the word? Or any kind of like, music on giant steps. Take a look with me. Okay, the first chord is B, D, G, B flat 7, E flat. So if I'm playing through that, it's a lot of changes. So what I did, I actually transcribed a little bit of John Coltrane on this. I should transcribe more John Coltrane solos in general, actually. So, he would go like this. He would just do these patterns, which you actually should know, everybody. They're called tetrachords. And I have, like, on my YouTube channel here, you can watch, like, a TikTok I did about it. But I'm going to do, I'm starting to do long videos, like a workshop kind of style videos now. People are really liking them. I'm starting to release those where I'm going to talk more about, in depth about tetrachords and stuff like that. And Coltrane changes, etc. So when I'm playing through, what Coltrane used to do, he would just go 1, 2, 3, 5 on every chord. So on the B, he would go B. Now for people who can't read, that's another thing you should learn how to do. If you can't do everything by ear, try to avoid tabs if you can. But that's a lot to ask actually for guitar players because it's really hard to read on the guitar. But he would do 1, 2, 3, 5 on a major chord. So he would go like this. So he's playing through ukulele changes like that, the Coltrane changes like this. So you got to be able to play that everywhere. So one of the things about guitar or bass or any instrument that you play, well, especially guitar and bass, because you can play some of the same stuff over with different fingerings. I would play this lick everywhere. See that lick? I just play this like a B lick, a tetrachord lick, or 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, for people who don't know what 1, 2, 3, 5 is, it's like the first degree of the scale, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, going up the scale. Okay, so it goes. So I'm just playing through the chords: B, D7, G, major 7, B flat dominant 7, then E flat major 7. That's what Coltrane actually did to get through this. He would go 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounds like an exercise. It is exercise. So I'm just basically playing through the Coltrane changes like that. Oh, yeah, here's another question. Oh, okay. So Nathaniel has a question here. When you're transcribing the solo or learn a lick, do you just transcribe it and be done, or just stay with it and learn to use it before moving to the next? Okay, great question, Nathaniel. Now, when I was transcribing, there's two things about transcribing, just so you know. Okay, transcribing is actually writing down the notes. Okay, now that's a skill in itself, and I know how to do that. It's a skill that takes a lot of practice and study too. Because when I went to Berkeley, I tested out of the harmony classes like the first two semesters actually, and I was in this transcription class where you had to sit down and write all your notes with no paper. I mean, with no instrument. You have to do everything by ear with intervals. So you have to know about intervals. But it's hard to write rhythms out and stuff. It takes a long time. But if you can do that, actually, that's one of the best things for you to do is for your ears, and also embeds the music in your mind. Now, I suggest never anybody giving you a transcription say, "Hey, man, here's a transcription to John Coltrane Zelle, man. Here, you can just learn it now." And no, that's not good for you. The best thing for you to do is do it yourself. Okay, so you can write it down. I suggest writing it down and learning it. Okay. Now, who doesn't have much time for anything these days, if I want to learn something, I'll just do it by ear and just memorize it. If I want to write it down, I can. And people pay me to write things down sometimes, so to transcribe stuff. So I'll do it if you pay me. But at my leisure, I don't do it anymore because it just takes so much time to write it down that I don't really need to do it most of the time. So I do it by ear. But it's important that you do it. That's the whole thing. Don't have anybody hand you any kind of music and tell you this is the music. Here's Joe Pass's guitar solo. You're not going to learn anything like that. The guy who learned something from that solo was the guy who transcribed it and learned it himself. You don't get any benefit from someone showing you something. So you have to sit there and physically learn this stuff. And when you're transcribing, you could write it down. I've written some solos. I had a solo that came out years ago in Downbeat magazine. I did it. I used to transcribe and write the solos down. I transcribed like Wes Montgomery's solo on SOS. And, so what I did was I just, I wrote it all out, but, I knew how to play it too. So you have to learn how to play these things, because what happens is when you play, so let's say you learn a lick from like Pat Martino or Wes Montgomery. So like one of my Pat Martino licks I like to play is like this 2/5 lick like this. Let me see. That's a 2/5 lick. 2/5 is like if you're in the key of E flat, the 2 is like from starting from E flat is 1, and the 2 is F minor, and the 5 you go up the scale is the 7, and that resolves usually back to the 1, F minor 7 to B flat 7, back to E flat major 7. So there's a lick that he played like goes like this. I mean, basically like that. But the thing is, that lick, you have to take these licks and find these kind of licks in their solos, and then say, well, I mean, he's playing that on an F minor chord to a B flat. So when I get to that chord, I'm going to play that. But here's the thing. You've got to be able to transpose that to all keys, because you're not going to be playing on an F minor chord to B flat. So you got to be able to play that in D. So or see what I just did though? I changed the fingering too. Or this. That's what you have to do on the guitar. You have to figure out every possible fingering in the same register. That's really hard to do. So I have to think about that. So when I'm actually playing, I'll practice this, and then when I'm actually playing a gig, I try to find the fingering that I know the most, because what happens is, you have to practice something over and over to really get it embedded in your playing. So that's another thing, everybody. When you're practicing, this is a really good thing to know. Okay. Okay. I'm going to answer the question about the beginner jazz book soon. Okay. So when I'm practicing, when you just so you know, musicians learn by repetition. So whenever I've learned this over the years from teaching and from playing a lot, that you have to practice something. If you're learning like a new lick or new anything, you have to practice it every day. Don't practice like 1 hour and then wait 1 week later and then play the same thing. No, you have to practice it like 10, 15 minutes a day, because what happens is you have to embed it in your mind and it becomes natural. So you have to practice every day the same thing, and remember to practice only things you don't know. So like this lick, I know this lick really well here, but I don't know it as well here. I can do it, excuse me, and but I have to think about it more. So for me not to think about it more, I have to practice it every day until I don't have to think about it. That's what I mean. You have to be able to practice so much that you don't even think about it. It just becomes natural, and that's how you learn how to play music. I think that's how you learn how to do anything. Actually, you have to do it over and over and over and over without stopping until you know it without thinking about it. So when I used to do these Broadway shows, I used to take them for granted. I used to play a lot of Broadway, and I had to learn all this crazy music. And a couple times I crashed and burned just because I didn't practice enough. Because when you get on stage and you play, it's a whole different story than practicing. You got to go on autopilot and not even think about what you're doing. You just got to know it so well. You practice it so I would practice these shows every day for 2 weeks. I would go in and watch the guy. I would sub. Okay, subbing is when you replace the guy on a Broadway show and you just play. You have to basically play like him. So I would practice that stuff every day and go to the show and watch him play it. And then when I get in the show, you're just there. It's autopilot. That's what you have to do. It's exactly the same thing as learning how to play jazz. Okay, now, do with the guitar as, is there any beginner jazz book you recommend? Okay, I'm going to send, I'll send you guys, I think I have your emails. I'm going to send you, just send me an email at the end if there's any questions, everybody, about the workshop, any books you need. There's some great books that I use, like it's behind my screen here. I have like the William, let me write this down, like the Modern Method for Guitar is a very good book. This Ted Dunbar book that I used, a lot of these great guitar players use, called New Approaches for Jazz Guitar. Let me see. My websites have a lot of that stuff about learning how to play, getting warmed up and, beginner books like that. I'm going to make a list for you guys. Let me see. So guitar books, A Modern Method for Guitar. This is a really good book to learn all your basics about the guitar. Now, for the 7-string players here watching, remember that you have to know the 6-string really well before you go to 7-string. So Modern Method for Guitar is great. Okay. By William Levitt. I'm going to write that down. You can find that book anywhere. Okay. It's a really great book to learn how to play jazz. To learn about the basics of jazz, chords, melodies, all kinds of stuff. Okay. And someone's going to hand me the book right now if they can find it. Oh, this is another book I have. This is backwards. But this is a book I wrote for Acoustic Guitar Magazine, and these are chords at your fingertips. It's a really great book about chords, everything. You can pick that up. You can get that on my Amazon store. Okay. Can you hand me the folder? So yeah, you can get that in my Amazon store. That's a great book for learning chords, and there's a lot of great exercises here. Another book is called Scales of Mode Mastery. That's a book that I sell through Acoustic Guitar. Okay, and that book is available on the Acoustic Guitar website. Okay, and so yeah, that's a great book. Scales of Mode Mastery. But anyway, send me a message so I can send you some book recommendations, and I'll send you my. Give me that, please. Yes. I want to show you this. If you go to my Amazon store, let me show you this right now. Oh yeah, here. If you go to my Amazon store, here it is. You can see this now, I hope. Oh, is this? Oh. I hope you can see this. Nope, you can't see that, can you? That's weird. It's too far away. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, sorry, guys. You can go to my Amazon store. There's a bunch of guitar books there on my Amazon store. There's all guitar books. Amazon.com/shop/Ron Jackson Music. And there's a ton of books there for beginners, and books that I have sell too. Yeah. That's a magic trick. Thanks, Chip. Okay. Yeah. So in the last 10 minutes, is there any questions before we finish up? I went through a lot of subjects today. Oh, okay. Before we keep going, so email me about books, guys. Go to my YouTube for some of this stuff is on my YouTube channel here. A lot of my lessons are up here. I cross-posted from TikTok now. TikTok, I have tons of educational videos, and that page is doing really well with. I talk about all kinds of things: bass lines, picking, all kinds of stuff. Let me see. Oh, thank you. Someone put the website there. Great, thank you. Also, give them my website and etc. So let's just continue really quick with giant steps. Okay, so the easiest way to play through giant steps is using the 1, 2, 3, 5 patterns on tetrachord, etc. Okay. Now, there's different tricks you can use too. Like one of the tricks I learned from my students. I learned a lot of stuff from my students too. Remember, you can learn something from anybody. One of my students that I was teaching, a really good guitar player that I was teaching from Chicago, that lived here in New York, moved back to Chicago. Okay, is this one right here. Like if you're going, when you're playing down the scale of giant steps, you can go down in whole steps. You can go down in whole steps. You can do a major B major chord, then go down to an A minor, then G major, then F minor. That's a really good trick. Oh, there's another question here. Really appreciate the lesson. We'll look into Patreon. Oh, thank you, dude. I like that. Dude with the guitar. But you spelled the dude wrong, guy. It's not D-O-O-D, it's D-U-D-E. I'm just kidding. Appreciate the lesson. We'll look you into Patreon and continue to follow you on Instagram. Thanks. Thanks, dude. Could you go through harmonies and harmonizing in chords? Could you use blues progression to show it? Oh, harmonize. Okay, now let me show you. Let's go to key G. Okay. So when I'm playing through a blues, there's a lot of things you can actually. Blues is more complicated than you think because you could alter the chord. So when I'm playing a blues, I can think of. I can just play a G7, of course, if I'm playing a G chord. I can actually playing. Now you're talking about chords, I hope, Nathaniel. Now I can just put a 9 on top. You can start doing that with the chords, for example. You could do all 9s, for example. Like I could do dominant 7. Okay, now you could do. Next thing I would do is make it into a 9 chord. Now I took the root off. You should be able to play these chords without the root. So I put a 9 there instead now. Okay. So the 9 comes from like the 1, which is G, B, which is the 3rd, D, which is the 5th, the flat 7, which is F, and the A is the 9. So I can put that up there. I can play it like this. Remember the voices. Find every way to play these voicings. Okay. Okay. And then I could go to a 9 here. You could develop a voice like that. Now jazz blues is a whole different thing. Okay. Then I could go to regular 1-4-5 blues, just all 9 chords. Then you could add the 13 next. I added that note, and I put the 9 on top. That's a very common voicing. I could do it that way too, actually. I've never done it that way. 13, 13, and then 13 with. I gotta put the dimension there. Now you could make it altered now. So you could put sharp 9 like Jimi Hendrix. I put sharp 9 chords. Sounds like Batman. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going through the chords like that. Now you can start doing things like this too, everybody. You can start doing what you call you can do substitutions. Like if I'm doing a G7, I can make a D minor. I can put the related 2, we call it. Then G minor. So when I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, I can go like this. I could just put a 2-5 instead. Now, that's what we call. We didn't get to reharmonization too much today. That's called substitutions. Okay. So I'm substituting a chord. I'm thinking of a different chord while you're playing something else. That's what substitution is. So, like, I can while you guys are playing a dominant 7th chord in your blues, I'll be thinking, let's say G7 flat 9, flat 13, which is altered, we call it. So I'll go. I'll be playing crazy chords like that while you guys are playing. So that's called reharmonization. So I'm superimposing a chord. What I'm doing right there is I'm just basically playing altered on over everything. So I'm actually substituting a lot. So that's another thing you could actually do in a blues or any kind of progression. So remember, when you're harmonizing, it depends on your harmonic knowledge, at what level you are, of sophistication. So if I'm playing, let's say I'm playing like just over a regular, let me pick a different key. Let's say I'm playing over a regular E flat major 7 chord. I can actually go, you can play the regular major scale, but I can actually do all kinds of scales. I can go, I can play a Lydian, even though they're playing like a regular major scale or major chord. I can superimpose a Lydian in my solo and it will still sound good because I'm forcing it in there. I can make a Lydian sharp 5. That comes from a melodic minor, so it's a major 7 with a sharp 5. Okay, and I can actually go. I could do Ionian sharp 5, which comes from melodic minor. Stuff like that. Okay. So it depends on your harmonic knowledge to be able to superimpose different chords, melodies. So that's called reharmonization, and I like to use that a lot. So I'm gonna actually try to do some. I might record today like a long version video about Coltrane changes, about different kinds of techniques we use today, like for YouTube, okay? Because like I workshop specifically just about one subject, because I'm doing short form videos on TikTok and Instagram, but they're too short. Some people say. So people are now coming to my YouTube, and I'm starting to get. I gained a couple thousand subscribers because I've just been doing a bunch of posts all the time with all my educational videos. So please come back, everybody. Please. me. I'm going to write this down. Please follow me. If you're not doing so at all my channels, they're all. Please follow. I'm going to end this now. Me at Ron Jackson Music on all channels, on all platforms, all social media. Okay, they're all the same name. Oops, I spelled social media wrong. Huh. Okay, please follow me at Ron Jackson on all social media. If there's any questions, everybody, you're welcome, Chris. I'll see you Tuesday for your lesson. And what was I going to say? Send me an email if there's any questions about books, anything, And if there's any questions about anything, let me know. I'll send you the information, links, etc. We talked about a lot of stuff. There's a lot more to talk about. Now I'm getting tired. And hungry. So thank you, everybody. Ashante. Oh, that's cool. That's great, man. That's where Ashante comes from. I like that word. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. And I'll just show you if you want to check out my Patreon page, it's right here. Oh, I got magic. That's why my Patreon page. Quite a few of my patrons are watching, and here we go. And she also put my link tree with all my links there, and all my links are at my link tree right there that we just put up there. And thank you everybody. I appreciate you watching. We had a great crowd today, and something was backwards? Oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. So you can just go to my Patreon, which is also Ron Jackson Music. Patreon.com/Ron Jackson Music, and that was my Patreon live lesson that I do once a month. It's called Second Saturdays, and I appreciate you guys watching. And I hope you learned a lot today about different styles and techniques about playing guitar, jazz, 7-string, etc. And I you guys very soon, and keep following my keep checking out my Patreon and all that. I mean, my TikTok and Instagram, because I have always these videos coming out that I'm posting about different techniques you could learn on guitar, comping, improvisation, etc. Okay, so we'll see you guys very soon, and I'm gonna say bye and have a great day, and we'll see you guys at the next live lesson or lesson going to be taking with me in person, etc. Have a good time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, thanks. Okay, hold on. Oh, Chip. Okay, Chip, thank you, man. You're welcome. Also, Chip, just so you know, go to my, I sent you the links already, but there's an introduction to the 7-string guitar long form video on YouTube. It's pretty long. And I talk about how the 7-string guitar works, etc. Okay. I want people to play 7-string guitar. We need more 7-string jazz guitar players. There's a lot of rock guys, which is cool too. I love rock. And a lot of Brazilian guys, but not many jazz guys who use the 7th string as the as the bass note. Okay. So please check that out on my YouTube, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to mention a shout out to Umir, my student. Umir Abela, he's a new student too. Sorry, Umir, I forgot about you. You're one of the beginning guys that came in. I appreciate Umir. He just started studying with me, and thank you, Umir Abela. I have a hard time saying your name. There's some funny names here today. So thanks, Umir, for watching, and he's a great new guitar player. Oh yeah, I mentioned you earlier. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm losing my mind now. Bye-bye. And I'm going live again, just for you guys. Thank you, everybody who came out to my live show on Friday. I'm here in the U.S. in New Jersey. Let me move this a little closer. So we're going to be talking about chord melody. So I'm just setting up my cameras right now, and Thank you everybody for being such great fans and following me and getting up to 20,000 subscribers. So I'm going to be taking questions, but I'm going to play some chord melody. We're going to talk about that today a lot. You know, I'm going to be using my 6 and 7 string guitar. Long live Rod Jackson. Thank you, Edmund TV. You know, I'm going to be talking stuff about my book that I sell here too, called Chords at Your Fingertips on acoustic guitar. And, you know, learn how to do chord melody and all that stuff with guide tones and all kinds of different things. Let me just make sure I'm watching on my other, you know, like so I can see your questions in another YouTube channel, okay? So let me see. Let me go to my YouTube channel. Thank you for the 21,400 subscribers. You're the man. Love listening to you. Thank you. You're giving me a perspective and helped me improve so much. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I'm live right now. Let me see something. I'm gonna just make sure I watch my own live so I can answer your questions. Here it is. So make sure the volume's down. Okay, good. Hey, Vikpal from India, great. Great to see you guys. Let me take out my guitar. I'm going to play first on my 7 string some chord melody for you. Okay, and then we'll talk about learning how to do chord melody. Let me see if I can move this camera up a little bit so you can see me. Let me take this guitar out right here. My 7 string. Ooh, there's something off this cable. I gotta fix this. So, yay! Hey, Montreal, how's it going? So let me fix this guitar real quick. We're gonna talk about chord melody. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and you know, I'll answer them as best I can. So let me start by playing a song. How's the volume? Sounds okay? Everything okay over there? Let me know. I could turn it up a little bit. Let me see. I don't want to play too loud. So, because I play too loud sometimes. Good, good. So we'll be talking about chord melody today, and let me play you something right now that one of my arrangements that I have, that I actually have here on YouTube, and it's going to be called Time After Time. And no, actually, let me do that one first. Ready? Okay, everybody. Oh, so we're talking about chord melody, and I'm going to take some questions today. So I just played a song called "Time After Time." I forget who wrote that song, but it's a classic jazz song that I always play. It's one of my arrangements that I really know well, that I kind of created for 7-string and 6-string guitar. So this is a 7-string guitar for you guys who don't know about 7-string guitars. I have a low A here. So I haven't touched the guitar in a couple of days. Well, I know actually I touched the guitar yesterday, but I was just doing a lot of writing for my Patreon account, everybody. So let me answer some of these questions for you. So that song was Time After Time. So it was my chord melody arrangement. So I was trying to do some different techniques for you guys. Walking bass lines, inner lines in the chords, seconds, fourths, whatever ideas that came up into my mind when I was doing improvising. So thank you, Henry and Vipil. So let me just answer a few questions here, if there's any. So Glenn from Canada. Oh yeah, great to see you. And Alex, sounds great. Thank you. Edmund TV, thank you again. And good to see you live playing. Good. How do you do that? Lionel asked me how you do that. With a lot of practice. So when I'm doing chord melody, you got to learn how to know what your melody note is against the chord. You have to know all your chord voicings. Okay, so that's very, very important when you're playing chord melody. So when I'm actually playing like a chord melody arrangement, it's actually I arranged it. That means I didn't make it up on the spot. I actually just worked it out. I learned first. You have to learn when you want to do chord melody arrangements. You have to really learn the melody correctly. You should be able to play the melody and the chords separately. So so when I'm doing a melody like this, so there's so many ways to play the melody on the guitar. When I play that melody like that, I could play so many ways on the guitar. Look at this. That's the hard part about the guitar. So you have to be able to play the melody on the top of the chord, particularly. Now you can actually play the melody on the bottom of the chord, in the middle of the chord. When I talk about that, I actually have this book. We'll be talking about my book, Two Chords at Your Fingertips, that's on Acoustic Guitar Magazine. That I actually, I wrote 3 lessons, and one of my lessons is called the How to Harmonize Like Chet Atkins. If you look closely, and in this book, I take a song like London Bridge is Falling Down, like this. It goes like this. Now, in this book, I actually took that melody. I played it with chords on the bottom. Now, you could do that melody like that, just like with a melody on top with chords on bottom. Now, it's very important. Most of the time you play the melody on top, you have to really know the melody. And then the next part I do in the book is I actually take the chords and I went like this. I went. Like that. I'm reading this. So this is actually This is actually written here in my book, Chords at Your Fingertips. Learning how to harmonize, do chord melody, what we're talking about today. I'm taking a really simple melody like London Bridge is Falling Down, and I play the chords on. I play the chord under every note, and that's how you actually learn how to do chord melody too. Not just play like a thing like this. Just one note below it. You should be able to harmonize a melody with a chord under each note. Actually, that's very important to learn. Let me see. Oh, thank you. Let me just look at some of the questions here. So I'm just going through this. I'll take questions while I'm trying to talk to you about doing chord melody. So thanks Roscoe for saying I'm amazing, and thank you Vipul from India. How much of what you're playing is arranged, and how much is at the top of your head? So when I'm doing a chord melody, everybody, most of the time it's pretty arranged. So what I do is I actually work it out where I actually what's the word it's really arranged actually most of the time. So what I'm trying to do is actually in the beginning you have to do arrangements, okay? So it's very important to have them really worked out. I mean, Joe Pass, all the great solo guitar players, they had their stuff arranged. I went to see a Joe Pass workshop actually, and he was amazing. And he had everything worked out. Obviously, you have to have it worked out, and then after a while, it just comes natural, and you don't have to think about what you're actually playing. So when I'm playing like a song like that arrangement I just played a minute ago, time after time, I actually played that so many times that I know it pretty good. And I have a bunch of solo guitar arrangements like that. So you have to really, the best way actually to learn these things is learn from the masters. If you go to my website, Ron Jackson, I have tons of, I have about 6 arrangements for guitar because you have to start learning arrangements from other people. So if you go to my website, ronjacksonmusic.com, and you'll be able to get copies of my arrangements there for like $5-6, okay? And it's on my description here. You have to learn these chord melody arrangements by heart. Now let me see something here. I'm just gonna turn my other phone down so no one starts to disturb us, and put it on silent. So let me see. Let me look at some of these questions. I really wanted to know what your favorite guitar is, and the one that you have, and one that you don't have. By the way, you're awesome. Thanks. I don't know. I don't have a favorite guitar. I mean, I'm trying to get a Benedetto guitar, a 7-string. So I mean, another guitar I'm using right now. So I'm using my 6-string. I mean, my 7-string. Let me show you the one I got from. Something's wrong with my cable. So let me put this over here. I'm using also this D'Angelico XL that I got. I'm a D'Angelico artist now too. So this is a pretty great guitar, especially for the price range. You could go to my Amazon store and pick this up if you want to. I have an Amazon store, and you just go straight here to ronjacksonmusic.com. Amazon.com/shop/ronjacksonmusic, and I sell all kinds of stuff there, my books and all kinds of stuff. Okay, and it's my Amazon store. And I sell the D'Angelico guitars there on that site too. So this is a pretty good guitar too. You turn it up a little bit. So I play 6-string too, because most of the time, most of the guitar players I teach don't play 6-string. So it's important to know how to play 6-string. So we're talking about chord melody today. So it's really important to learn the melody and the chords separately, then you put them together. Now melody is the hardest part of playing anything, I think, because the melody, everybody knows the melody. So if you mess up that melody, you can be the best musician in the world, and some guy, some average whoever, Joe or Smo, will say, "Man, you play great, man, but you messed up that melody," and he won't know anything about music. So the melody is the most important thing. So when you're playing these chord melodies, you got to hear the melody, and whenever you play a melody, even by itself, you got to play it perfect, because everybody knows the melody. So let me see. Let me see. The Headliner book, will it help? And how so? Oh yeah, Dario. Yeah, the book will help. I mean, I've sold like 40, 50 copies already of this book to all my students and fans, and they love this book. It also teaches you all kinds of different cool things. So just go to my website and order it for me directly there at ronjacksonmusic.com. It's on my description here. And this book only has 12 different lessons. One of the lessons is I teach you how to play walking bass lines. So like for example, let's talk about walking bass. So you see me playing walking bass all the time. So Dario, so if I'm not playing a walking bass line, you have to know how to play two-note voicings on a chord, especially on seventh chords. Chords that have 1, 3, 5, and 7. Okay, or a flat 7. It's a dominant chord. Okay, so a chord that's voiced like this. So the third and seventh is the two notes we use a lot on a chord in jazz to get a sound where you don't have to, you eliminate the rest of the notes, and that's the most important sound of the chord. Okay, so if I'm playing up a scale, I'm only playing 3 notes. Like that. So you can do that across the neck. I can do it that way too. I can go this way too. Watch. Oops. Oh. So I did the same voicing up and down the neck. So I'm using a root, just third and seventh. And that's really important if you want to do walking bass lines on the guitar and a lot of chord melody stuff. So if I'm walking a bass line like this, and I'll blues. Yeah, I'll answer that question. I'll answer that question in a minute. So when I'm actually doing a walking bass line like that in a blues, which is just like 1 in G to C7, G7, C7. That's an easy progression. Okay. Then C7, just a regular blues. Everybody knows the blues, I hope. And so if I'm walking a bass line, I'm just using 2 notes. Okay, I'm using actually a 2-note chord and a bass line on the bottom. So that's called the third and seventh, or they call it a guide tone, just so you know. I didn't tell you that yet. So guide tones are really important to be able to play walking bass lines. So if I'm going to do a guide tone, I'm going to go like this. Hear that? See what I did? I just played 2 notes and I did a walking bass line under each chord. And that's actually, in this book, I do a whole chapter in this book about that whole